Good morning. My going live is getting later and later every morning, and I apologize. It is about 9 o'clock here in North Carolina. We are with Hurricane Florence has come in, and so I was awake off and on through the night with the rain and the wind. There's a tree down in the lot next to us on our lot, so no damage really. It's not a big deal, but we're really lucky. The rain is picking up in earnest now, and I need to actually turn some lights on, but the rain is picking up in earnest, and so it's just beginning, we think, kind of the flooding to start. I can show you a little bit outside if you're interested. But anyway, we are doing well. We are so fortunate that we still have power. It went out last night briefly, and then it flickered. It went off, it came on, it went off, it came on. And so we were worried that we were losing power for good last night, but we didn't. So it's back on this morning. It did go off and on through the night, which meant things were beeping. We unplugged a few things, but every time the power, we were sleeping, the power would go out and come back on, it would start beeping, and that would wake us up. So it wasn't the most restful sleep between that and the wind, but we're very fortunate. Folks further to our east are not being nearly as fortunate, and so we continue to keep them in our thoughts and prayers, and I would appreciate your doing so as well. Day 6, enjoy the silence. I'm on page 127, and by the time I get to day 6, most of you have been doing this for a week. And so if you've made it through 5 whole days and you're starting your 6th day of our 28-day guide, good for you. That is awesome. The first 2 weeks, I think, are the hardest, and I've told you that before. So if you can make it through this first week, that is fantastic. When we get to the weekends, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, we talked about the weekends tend to be more social, and we talked about eating out with friends and family, going to restaurants, or eating at someone else's house. And that generated some really good discussion yesterday in the group. We talked a lot about what do you do? What do you do if you're not cooking? What do you do if you're just invited to someone's house and you eat what they fixed? Or what do you do? And so a lot of great suggestions came up on the comments on this thread. And one of the comments or suggestions that people made was to always take food. And that's what I do. I always take food. Good morning, guys. If you invited me over, well, if you invited me and I knew you were low carb, I might not take food. But I almost always take food. And I don't take just food for me. I don't just take a beef stick in my pocketbook. Often what I do is I take food to share. I'll make the taco bake. I'll make, a big batch of something so that there's plenty for everyone. So that's a great idea. And I know sometimes people invite you to dinner and you're not asked to bring anything, and that's okay. I think back to when times when before keto, when I had prepared things and people brought food, I never really minded that. It just, if you eat differently, then I think most people will understand, and they're happy to have an extra dish or two on the table. So we talked a little bit about that. On page 127, I talk about enjoying the silence, and I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but it talks about some of the changes that started happening in our family when David and I first went low carb. Not only were we losing weight, but we were feeling better. And when you start to feel better, you notice all kinds of changes in your health. And one of those changes, and I wrote about this on the Diet Doctor website, and it's in here for day 6, is the silence when my husband no longer snored. Now, David's snoring used to be so bad, it would wake me up. I mean, it got to that point where, you wake up, it startles you, it pulls you out of a sleep at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and you just want to grab the pillow and put it over his face. And it had gotten to the point where it had become disruptive for a long time. And so we had the conversation about, we got to do something about your snoring. Do you need to sleep in a different room? I can't do this. I'm not resting. So we had that conversation. And so after we had been low carb for a while, I woke up. It was 3 a.m., just woke up randomly, and it was quiet. It was quiet, like there was no noise, no David snoring. And you know how you wake up at 3 a.m., you're kind of out of it anyway. So I even looked to see if he's beside of me. I didn't even know the man was in the bed. And I reach out to touch him, and I see that he's there, right? His body's there. but it's quiet. Like, I don't hear him breathing. I don't hear him snoring. He's not moving. And so I decide, at this point I'm wide awake, right? Because he's in the bed, but I can't hear him breathe. And so I wake up, I get over on one side, like to turn next to him, right? So I get up on my side and I'm listening, and I lean in closer and I'm listening, and I still can't tell. And so I decide that I'm going to take my hand and I'll put it over his mouth to feel breath. And so I'm on my side like this, right? And I'd reach over my body, to put my hand on, like to see if he's breathing. And when I turn, I lose my balance. And instead of gently putting my hand in front of his face to feel his breath, I pop him in the face. And I didn't mean to. I really didn't mean to. But I popped him in the face, and he sat straight up in bed. And as you can imagine, when you're popped in the face by your wife at 3 a.m. So he sits straight up in bed. And at that point, I'm pretty sure I started giggling and apologizing. And he's like, what is going on? And I'm like, I wanted to make sure you were alive. He didn't find it nearly as amusing as I did. But anyway, he was fine. I was fine. He didn't shoot me or kill me. I was fine. He was fine. But it just brought home to us, like, we realized how different things were because he wasn't snoring and waking me up. And every now and then, if he's got a cold or something, every now and then he'll snore now. But for the most part, it's pretty quiet at night, except for the dogs barking. Banjo and Winston still will bark and wake us up. And last night it was quiet, except for the power going in and out and things beeping. So anyway, but the point I want to make with that story is that when you make your life different, and in our case for keto, and eating differently, other things are different. Everything starts to be different. And if you don't eat differently, if you can't make it different, you're never going to be different. And my thought for the day, just for today, I say, I choose to be healthy. If I don't do something different, my life will never be different. If you want things to be different, if you want to wear smaller clothes, if you want to be healthier, if you want to stop snoring, if you want to get off the CPAP, the oxygen machine, if you want to no longer need your diabetic medications, if you want to no longer need your pain pills, then you have to do something different. And I'm not telling you to get up and go to the gym every day. I'm not telling you to start running or exercising or any of those things. You can do that if you want. It's a great thing to do. But you have to change your food. That's what you have to do. You have to change the food. If you want things to be different, you have to be different, and you're being different. Believe it or not, it's going to be amazing for you. As you start to make these things different and your body's healthier, there are going to be things that are different that you never imagined, that you never thought about, you never realized until you bend over to tie your shoe, until you want to paint your own toenails, until you want to ride on a roller coaster that has a weight limit that used to prohibit you. It's when you make those little things every day, just one day. Remember earlier this week we said today plus yesterday plus the day before all totals up for a cumulative effect. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. That one meal, that cheat meal can matter because it messes up that equation. When you throw in an off-plan meal, instead of having day 1 plus day 2 plus day 3 plus day 4 plus day 5, you have day 1, day 2, day 3. Oops, ate something I shouldn't, day 4. And then you're back to day 1, day 2, day 3. Some people never make it to day 6. They never make it 6 whole days without being different. That's what I'm challenging you to do. I'm challenging you for these 28 days, and I call it a 28-day guide, not a challenge, but within this 28-day guide, I'm challenging you to be different, right? Make those choices. Just one day, one more day. Let's see what happens. We know what happens when we eat crap. We know what happens when we eat the high sugar, the high carbs. I know what it's like to shop in the plus sizes. I don't want to do that anymore. And when I didn't do that anymore, it was an amazing feeling to be able to walk into nearly any store and just find a size off the rack is so much more phenomenally better than having bread. And I promise you that from the bottom of my heart. Now, I cannot promise you that you'll be off your meds. I can't promise you any health claims, not making any health claims, but I know what happened to me. And yeah, you guys are giving me great examples when you can sit in a desk and cross your legs. Yes, exactly. Fit in a classroom desk and cross your legs when you used to worry about even just fitting in that classroom desk. Those are the things you want to be different. And you do that by making it different for you consistently every single day. Day 6, guys, we do still have power by some miracle. I'm just so amazed and so impressed and so grateful that we actually still do have power. Many around us don't. I think there's 900,000 in North Carolina without power. So I will be doing the Facebook Live again tomorrow, assuming I can. And I will try to upload it. So if you go to, no, you don't need protein shakes. Somebody's asking me a question. Don't need all that crap. But I'm going to try and get this uploaded to YouTube. Please remember, I am putting these on YouTube so that you can share them with friends and family. You can watch them outside of Facebook. Facebook is like a raging river. I post this and then other people post, and it just, it's hard to find them. And so I am putting them on YouTube. So don't forget they're there. I'm doing that again as long as I have the internet service and as long as I have the electricity to do it. So I hope that you all are staying safe, and that if you're in the path of the storm, or even if you're not, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll try to see you tomorrow morning.